Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bubblegum Reviews. My name is Steve, and today's review will be on the movie here behind me. We have Raw Deal with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robert Davi, and Ed Lauter. So this is a third time watch for me. A little quick summary into this is Arnold fakes his own death and comes back with a new identity to infiltrate the mob from the inside. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first, the one thing I noticed about this movie is it feels a lot like the Godfather PS2 game storyline. I played that. That's a fun game. This has a lot of similarities to that. Um, so, things that I did enjoy about this, number one was the music score. Like, just the music in general in this, but so the main song, Kaminski Stomp, I believe, it's the same song I feel like that they do, but they just kind of add different things in it. Because at one he plays it when he blows the place up, then when he pulls up in the cop car, and then later on at the end they plays it, and then when he's also getting dry. I think it's like 3 or 4 times they play the same song, but it's just added with different stuff. But the final battle one with the saxophone, man, that freaking shit was great. This was a great score. Let's also talk about the fact that the guy that did this, the musical composer guy in this, Chris Broadman, I believe, is an American cyclist. Like, I guess he did this and maybe one other thing, and I couldn't really find anything on the guy except for he's now a Lance Armstrong. Or I don't know if he still is today, but he was. So that's pretty cool because this score was killer. The other thing that I did like was this movie had assassination attempts, it had bomb threats, it had car chases. So it had a lot of stuff, but when it didn't have that stuff going on, the movie was rather boring. And so the one thing, the early on car chase, the very beginning when Arnold's chasing that guy down who's infiltrating the cop, or not infiltrating, but dressed up as a cop. But anyways, the one thing I noticed in that I thought was really cheesy is the distance that Arnold would be from the guy. Like they'd show him right next to the bike, and then 5 seconds later the bike's 30 yards ahead, and then they're close and just back and forth. So that there was also a scene in this where Arnold's going to the construction site. So, like, there's a part where he shoots a guy, and just the noises the guys make when they're dead are just like, where are you guys getting these from? It was hilarious. And then the other thing that I noticed at the construction site and at the final battle as well, none of these guys know how to get behind cover. None. Like, in the final battle, Arnold's like hiding behind pillars and stuff like that at times, but these guys are just out in the open like, oh yeah, we're the best ever, but none of them survived. So that was kind of ridiculous. But the Robert Davi was my favorite. Arnold did a good job. He did a passable job. He wasn't great, he wasn't terrible, but Robert Davi did a really good job. The one thing that really bugged me, besides the boringness of it, was the editing wasn't very good. And so he had a wife and he had a lady who was interested in him. They didn't really commit to either of these relationships very much, so it seemed really, I don't know, it almost seemed forced, but it was like there wasn't very much of it, so it was a quick, here's this, and okay, they're done. So I didn't really care for that part either, but if you're into 80s cheese, this is definitely worth a watch, at least a one-time watch. I will say the score is definitely the best part of this movie for me. So let's go ahead and get right to director. We have John Irvin, who has also done movies such as The Dogs of War, Hamburger Hill, and one that I do want to see, Crazy Horse. IMDb gave this a 5.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 29%. Dog Bones gave it a 1.5 out of 4. I'm spot on with IMDb at the 5.5 out of 10. That's what I give it. Reasons I tell you to watch it is it's 80s cheese. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of 80s movies. I'm a big fan of Arnold movies. At one point, I thought this was a whole lot better than, like, my first two watches. I probably would have given it a 7.5 out of 10, but I definitely bumped it down after just seeing just how bad it kind of is. But it's still an Arnold movie. It's still got some good stuff. The reason I tell you to watch it is the score and the action. There's a lot of action in this at times. Box office at 36.5 million on a budget of 8.5, so it made 28. Little quick deal there. So my last movie, A Walk in the Woods, literally box office was 36, budget was 8. So it literally made the same amount as this movie with the 28. But obviously, that's not exactly how much it made. But anyways, so 28 is actually not half bad for this movie, but I'm sure they were expecting a lot more than that. My interesting fact in this is, so let me make sure I get his name right. Dino De Laurenti was against Arnold playing Quaid in Total Recall. So this guy wanted Patrick Swayze as Quaid in Total Recall. And the only reason that did not happen is because of bankruptcy. He had to file for bankruptcy, so it ended up going to somebody else, and then they ended up choosing Arnold to play Quaid. And look how that turned out. Like, I am so glad the plans fell through because Patrick Swayze as Quaid in Total Recall, that movie would have been a bomb. I'm not against Patrick Swayze in any way, but he does not fit that role right. So, thank God that ended up happening because Total Recall is actually my favorite Arnold movie. Well, I say favorite, but yeah, you know what? It is my favorite. I'm going to stick with that. It would either be that or Twins, because those are my top two, Twins and that. And the only reason I like Twins so much is because Danny DeVito and Arnold have such great chemistry. But anyways, that's all for this. Up next will be the movie here behind it, which, let's see here. So we have American Pop. This is a Ralph Bakshi movie, so that'll be my next review, so stay tuned for that. And like and subscribe. Check out my letterbox. Check out my eBay. You guys have a good day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.